just a long lost look in your eyes. Brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Oh, don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild. Oh, from the dawn we rise, with the heart we cry, into the light we go, into the light we go. From the darkest night, from the fire inside, into the light we go, into the light we go, into the light we go.
Welcome back, everybody, to more LCK action here live at the SPO TV. Next on Arena, I am Valdez. With me is, of course, Daddy Smithy. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good, Valdez. Clearly you watching some EU LCS, having a bit of fun. I'm excited because it's back again, you know? I didn't think we could ever top the first series, but SKT T1 versus Jin Air happens again. It ellipsed 3 hours the first time. Right now, who knows what the ceiling is on this particular circus?
You know, I'm sure a lot of people are expecting a very long repeat match between these two teams, but you and I were talking about this. We're thinking this should go a little bit faster this time around, especially SKT looking a bit better. But either way, guys, we'll get to that a bit later. Let's introduce our teams.
예, 사로운판 승부를 준비하고 있는 두 팀이 기다리고 있습니다. 먼저 그 첫 번째 리그 오브 레전드 역사상 이토록 위대한 팀은 없었습니다. 오늘 그 위대함을 다시 한번 뽐내게 기도해 봅니다. 세계 최강의 커리어 SK텔레콤 T1!
SKT coming back to the SPO TV Arena, looking a lot better nowadays. They took that last loss to Afrika, but they had a bit of a streak going before that.
And it was a really competitive series. They probably wouldn't feel too bad to be beaten by one of our top 3 teams in Korea. Looking at the roster, it's the same roster that started last couple of series, so no sign of Tal in the last 2. Untara is preferred, and Blossom maintains his spot in the jungle. It feels like it's so long ago, but remember, the last time these two teams faced, Wolf was their jungler, Effort was their support. SKT have cosplayed with many different lineups, but currently they've settled on this one.
Yeah, and you mentioned the top 3 teams, but outside of that, it's really a fight to get into playoffs, and that's what we're talking about here for SKT. They need more wins. They're sitting at 6th behind the Rocks Tigers, and KSV, some surprises coming in with the Rocks Tigers doing so well this season.
And we start today with our thought of KSV down, SKT up in terms of momentum, but momentum has counted so little in the LCK. We have one-off decisions and one-off results that really don't make any sense in the context. So even though we have our expectations, we'll wait and see.
오늘도 이기기 위한 준비를 모두 끝냈습니다. 쉽게 물러서지 않는 승부사 Jin Air Grand West!
Jin Air, a team that had some hype, especially in the beginning, you know, taking out SKT, looking a bit better as a team, especially on the back of Teddy, their Fountain Laser. But recently, with LCK being so competitive, they've been having some trouble sitting at 4 and 7, 7th place, and they are not satisfied with it.
And I think that's a fair read. Jin Air is way better than 4 wins, 7 losses looks. I really think this team has a high ceiling. It's still gelling together. Notice, though, there is a change in the mid lane. Grace has had a great run of form, but for today, Justice is preferred. Justice was in both victories against SKT, subbed in after game 1. So just trying to bring back that PTSD, trying to bring back that history of the famous series where Jin Air really started some of the humbling days for SKT T1 in summer. In spring, I should say.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick to bring in because Grace, who we're talking about, he's definitely the main guy. He's had a ton more games played compared to Justice, but Justice coming in with, in total, 5 games. It will be playing up against a much better SKT team.
Hey,
Green Wings Bear.
some teddies.
Yeah.
The teddy bears are a good thing to invest in. Teddy is right up there. Teddy coin was definitely trending up at the start of the season. It's leveled off a little bit, so if that's your resident crypto, maybe look to other ones. Faker coin, always at the highest ever. We'll see how Faker will do, because again, Justice did beat him twice in a row.
Well, let's take a look at some key points. Lots of records in Game 3 on January 20th. It was the longest game in LCK history, 94 minutes and 40 seconds. Papa, you were there. I'm glad I wasn't.
You were a stream viewer for that one. That was the
Yeah.
greatest epic. Achilles and I bringing you the CS record, multiple CS records in the same game. 9 Barons taken. Where is 8.4, you may ask? It's not here today. We are still on patch 8.3. Even though both these teams have been trending towards shorter games, you look at this and say, it could happen again.
Could happen again. It definitely could, you know. It's kind of interesting. I'm waiting for 8.4. As you mentioned, this is going to be the last day of 8.3. 8.4 will be here on Tuesday, guys, for our second SpoTV cast. But let's look at this. Another losing streak or a rebound. That's what we're looking at for SKT.
So, guys, before that Afrika loss, it was 5 losses in a row into 4 wins in a row, and now another loss to Afrika. Let's see what this prompts here. Will this be the start of a struggle? My instinct is no. I feel like SKT look a lot stronger than in recent memory. But speaking of patchy histories, a win over the Afrika Freaks, the only good news story for Jin Air. A rough schedule, a game against Kingzone, 2 against KT, even Rox is among our better teams here, but not a lot of good reading for the Gladplane.
It's the big question mark here is BBQ, right? You go and you defeat Afrika 2-0, and then you lose 0-2 to BBQ. There's no consistency in that record. BBQ is not one of our top teams here, but let's take a look and see the 80 carries, the key of the victory here. Definitely Bang has been popping off, especially on his Ezreal, but Teddy, the big fountain laser, the back line here for the Jin Air Green Wings.
And for SKT fans, this second round robin is about redemption against teams like the Jin Air Green Wings. They beat them in the first round robin. Everyone in chat that day remembers the crazy games that we witnessed. And Bang, in that series and since then, has been our KDA leader, 10.2, only player in double digits. Fantastic performance so far this season. Teddy has had some down games, definitely against Deft and Mata. He struggled. Bang and Wolf are in good form, but I want to see the return of Teddy today. He is such a prodigious talent.
That he is. Well, let's take a look at total LCK games. I said that Justice had 5 games in this LCK, but that's actually his total of LCK. He's going up against 356 out of Faker.
But guess what? He's never lost to Faker Valdez. He is career undefeated against the greatest player of all time. And that's more than one game. That's not as facetious as it might be for others. Justice was a substitute on Longzhu Gaming in 2017. Never saw play. They only played Rascal a single game. Now Justice is in the lineup, and they're hoping he's a good luck charm against SKT and Faker in particular.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those graphs you can be like lowest number low, but definitely I would look at the bottom and say, well, how does Faker feel about that exactly?
I mean, how many teams would love a mid laner you could keep on the bench and just sub in to beat Faker? That's the way you get to the World Championship final. That's the way you win your title. You feel good. It's in English. You guys know what that said. There's lots of fans here today. Sold out for a while. People feel like they might be part of history again, Valdez, and I think that's why we're going to have a lot of viewers today, because it's weird and wonderful every time Jin Air and SKT meet.
Saying Gazua, let's go to the SKT win. Tons of fans here. We're totally sold out in the Nexon Arena. Obviously, a lot of SKT fans, as is always the way. And Justice getting some FaceTime with the camera. Gave us a little smirk. He's ready to go.
We don't have the matchup graphics like OGN here, but he's certainly hyped. He knows that he's going to be the one looked at closest today. He played an Aurelion Sol game, so that endears him to my heart. We don't have enough Aurelion Sol players in the LCK. Faker never an Aurelion Sol main. Feels bad, but it sounds like the game's ready to go.
We're ready to go, guys. Picks and bans for game number 1 right now.
$5 p.m. local time, it starts. When it ends, no one is to know. Who knows how long we'll be out here at the stadium in Gangnam, Valdez?
Could be here all night. I'd love to have a long kind of podcasty cast with you, Papa. We haven't really gotten too much of a chance.
We have KSV in our second series. Who knows?
Versus MVP, too. That could go long. Definitely could. But let's take a look at some of the bans here. We already got Skarner as the first ban, especially with Olaf coming in. It's funny that you see that ban first off, but maybe Blossom not comfortable on the pick just yet.
I mean, Olaf is definitely the hot new pick in the LCK. Saw it twice yesterday, both victories. Very good in the 1v1 in Skarner, and good at being a battle ward. And I think increasingly, when we move to patch 8.4, an aggressive jungler that outdeals and get you vision that the Tracker's Knife removal denies will be very hotly contested. Pumandu on your screen. Picks and bans are going to be super scrutinized, and Jin Air is actually the one to ban away one of the chief reasons for the stall in that first series, the Azir Sivir. Never forget, from the side of Jin Air Green Wings, no Azir prompts a first pick rise from SKT, knowing that Zoe is available.
Yeah, comfortable to play into that. Another thing that's still available, they take away the Kalista, but you still got Xayah Rakan in the mix here. We'll see if they're thinking about that, but Sejuani just really high tier, so it looks like they're going to pick that up first.
The Sejuani Xayah is a very possible draft on red side. Hasn't been big, the Lovers duo for Jin Air, though, so there's a chance they just go for Varus and ignore it. It's been 0-2 on Xayah Rakan for Teddy and Wraith. So we'll see if they prize denying it away from the side of SKT. Usually we see jungle and the bot lane picked in the first round. We actually haven't had second round bot lanes in a few patches now in the LCK, but they may feel pressured to answer the rise early. See what the first choice is here. If you want Xayah Rakan, you have to take it in the first round. So they're actually just going to prize the Sion. We might actually see a very crazy draft here, because we have jungle top, and now we have mid lane drafted on blue side. Usually we have a lot of parity, maybe one role changing. If there's more than 2 roles changing, the bans get even more interesting in the second round.
They go ahead and bring a couple of those really beefy picks as well. Sion just so strong in the top lane, and Sejuani, of course. But here we do have Varus picked up in a very quick lock-in onto J4 as well.
And Justice mulling over the Taliyah. I think this is the right time to take mid laners, because the mid lane pool has already been narrowed by Azir and Galio being banned by Jin Air. So it feels like the Cassiopeia and the Taliyah can both be claimed. I'm a much bigger fan of the Taliyah. It's not Grace, who's a great Taliyah player. It is Justice in the lineup, so it changes things. And they decide to fight fire with fire, go for the Tristana. They look over the Xayah Rakan. Interesting. So a very different draft than what we've had. It feels like the meta is a very SKT versus Jin Air meta. Speaking of the meta, I think the Sorcery and Gathering Storm meta is going to be definitely revealed in this match. So Jin Air have jungle, top lane, and AD carry. Outside chance to support Sion, I guess we should say. But roughing out, they're going to be banning towards support and the Tahm Kench. Comfort taken away from Wolf.
And we've seen a lot of mind games here in LCK, but the hover on the Cassiopeia draws the ban on the Cassiopeia. They might not have even been thinking about taking that as the counter pick, but either way, they get the ban out of SKT.
I actually really dislike it against Jarvan Varus anyway. Cassiopeia versus Ryze has swung more and more towards Ryze over the years. I mean, this is the best ever spot for it. And Jarvan can just mean the pylon and Cassio struggling, but Faker not wanting to take the matchup, and you definitely defer to him on what he wants to face. See what the second ban is here. Ostensibly looking for support and mid lane in the last round is Jin Air.
Yeah, Jin Air, obviously with the first pick here, they're going to take the Taliyah away. Those were the 2 picks you mentioned, Papa.
Hey, maybe this was the epic next level of hovering 2 things you didn't want to play, and they will last pick for mid. You know what? The Aurelion Sol is a real chance for a last pick here if they want it. I would love to see more Aurelion Sol in the LCK. With the GOP changes on patch 8.4, maybe the incentive will be even higher. But they will last pick mid lane, which suggests something a bit spicier.
That it does. Braum, the obvious pick, especially after the other two support bans. We've been seeing a lot of Trundle up against Sion. We'll see if Untara actually does want to play that tonight once again. Thinking about other picks first.
And SKT have been initiation only as an identity in recent months. I'd be happy to see Blossom on the Jarvan, moving away from the Skarner that struggled on. More Engage joins in. The pile-on comp for the 4, and it looks like they're going to be taking the Sion versus Trundle matchup, which has gone kind of both ways. It feels like of the tank matchup, Sion fends the best against the Trundle, but it is a comfort pick for Untara. So 4-1 is the choice from SKT. Is it going to be Aurelion Sol?
They're not hovering anything yet. They're waiting down to the last second, and could it be?
This would be fully investing into teamfight. But it looks like they're going to go for the protect the Teddy comp, as they have quite a few ways to initiate. The ball carriers here are a little bit situational. Sejuani takes a while to actually gap close. She throws her ult from range, and Sion ult into a team fight is definitely deceptive at best. They end up going for kind of an old school counter logic gaming with double lift comp, with the Orianna and Tristana as the big threat. We don't see this often in Korea, and Orianna has been not great in Korea. It's been found very few victories, also very likely to be tied up by the Varus, the Alistar, and all the Engage on the side of SKT. So I was hoping for the roam and to try to punish early. We don't see that here. They're scaling, they're all about the turret siege, but not in the early rotational way that a Taliyah mid lane comp would be.
I believe the last time we saw Orianna was BDD, where he totally whiffed his shockwave. After that, people were like, well, let's cross Orianna off the list of mid laners we want to play. But Justice coming in kind of as a new guy here in LCK says, I'm comfortable in this matchup. Let's go on the back of Teddy. Let's see what we can do.
He's only played Azir, Aurelion Sol, and Orianna this season. So he's going back to something he played in a loss, it should be mentioned. We've seen so little of Justice, and it feels like they really are bringing him back. Kind of the prodigal son that got them their victory over SKT and started the losing streak. They just played against the team that they ended the losing streak on. In Afrika, they lost to them. Now they play the team that started the losing streak. It's time for payback if you're an SKT fan. For Jin Air, they got strong lanes, specifically in the top and bot, and they want to get Teddy. Wants to drop the boots, get 6 damage items, load up.
We'll see if he can have that miracle carry performance on the Tristana. That's the big question here for Jin Air. They're looking to be that real kryptonite up against SKT once again. Let's see what they can do as, guys, we're ready. The countdown has started. Let's get into game number 1. Here we go, match number 59, game number 1. We're almost 2/3 of the way through all of this season, Papa. Seems like it's gone by so fast.
It definitely has been fast and slow, depending on the day for me, but good thing is the excitement is still there. I need to know how this puzzle ends. I need to know how these standings end. Is ROX Tigers a top 4 team in Korea as it stands right now? So many people, with hindsight, will say no, but they've looked fantastic. This is a good start if you're looking for the 90-minute epic. A pause.
Yeah, thankfully they've been pretty forgiving this season.
Why are you saying these things out loud, Valdez?
There was only that one time it happened over at OGM, but that would never happen here, right,
No,
Papa?
SpoTV, from what I've experienced in 2018, shorter pauses. To be fair, if they were sitting at the end of 2018 and had some ideas on a chalkboard about things to cut out, pause times would definitely be the biggest one.
So there's a problem with
a mouse problem.
We haven't had a lot of those this season. It's definitely something we can mention. Can be a hard problem to solve, too, because we don't have a lot of spare mice in the back room.
We don't know what mouse he has. I hope it's not the same as Peanut's famous G1 mouse that was out of production.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll find out very soon what mouse he's rocking. Name and shame time, I guess. But
okay,
wow, that was easy.
We're never going to know, Papa, until we look. But not today, at least. As MT was over on the red side, now he's going to the blue side. His mouse wasn't working, sent him in the wrong direction. He's like, what am I doing over here?
Well, no mouse issue graphics, so I guess we can't add that to the list.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you were talking about, things to cut down on were pauses. Definitely, I agree, but I feel like this season they're all about trying the weird new stuff. So maybe,
things to expand on. Definitely
Next time there's a pause, they'll have like a short, entertainment skit or something like that.
And LCK fans on SpoTV Days have definitely learned that the bathroom break is after the interview, not during the interview, because, oh boy, do they find new and innovative ways to make it different. The Doraemon memes were just over the top, and then some last time out.
Yeah.
So this matchup, we're going to see Trundle versus Sion. Again,
SM Orc versus SM Orc in the top lane.
That's fair. A lot of trolls in the top side, in Twitch chat as well. But big thing about the matchup is Sion has so much ranged wave clear and interrupt that it takes a long time for the minion wave to actually be able to crash into the turret. Often it doesn't. And usually you think of the Maokai matchup where you just push and ignore and kill the turret. He can't actually get to the turret unless he's tanking it because Sion has so many different CC abilities to actually delay what feels like the inevitable every time we talk about a tank versus Trundle matchup.
Taking a chomp here out of Sion. Definitely, you were talking about it, but we don't necessarily need to take a big look at that. But look at this. Blossom coming up here for level 3 pressure. You see this a lot where you just skirt on in. If there's an opportunity, maybe you go for a gank, but usually he'll be pushing, so you just come in here and steal the Krugs.
Seems like some excellent research as well, because seems very confident the Krug camp would be up. He wasn't checking for it. He knew it, so I think this is all about Umti's pathing. Should mention that Jin Air have gone away from their usual game style of finding the most aggressive matchup possible for Umti. Feels like Sejuani is the only Cinderhulk jungler he'll prize. Otherwise, he wants to be on Kha'Zix's duty as much as possible. But this means that he will not be able to do the battle warding that I think he really aspires to do. He plays with a very Peanut-esque playstyle, at least classically. Has had his ups and downs this season for sure, but for now at least he's going to be farming up on the Sejuani.
Thankfully, Justice has taken Cleanse in this game, as we do have the potential gank here. He's actually waiting until after the TP comes in. Let's see if Justice shows a little bit of pressure here. He's trying to get away. The knockup is going to get in. There's that Rune Prism, but Justice showing so much poise under all of that pressure. No cleanse and no flash to get out of that.
The repeat gank when you're against instant cast CC will be death when Flash is up on Faker. So, as you mentioned, needed to be sure of his convictions and won't give up any advantage to the side of SK Telecom T1. Not the best back timing, doesn't pick up a Lost Chapter. And reminder, guys, we are on patch 8.3. You can see it in the bottom left corner. So Lost Chapter still at that bargain basement 900 gold cost, not the 1100 that makes you feel like a victor when you're in lane. That's the tilting part, is that so many champions now have to stay for the extra 200 gold. Otherwise, the shop feels terrible.
Especially in solo queue, it can get hard. You don't always have that perfect back. Jungler's not preparing for it. It's hard to also communicate when you're on the Korean server and your Korean is not 100%.
Hey, I'm pretty good at spamming the different four-directional pings about the game.
It's all about the pings when you're on Korean server, you know? I mean, I can understand what they're saying, but it's hard to, type, like, hey, come to my lane and do this. Umti getting aggressive in here. Will make it out with the blasting plant.
Has a control ward to disengage to. So I guess we should talk about how this game expects to pan out. Basically, So1's job, as is always the way with Sion, is to not die and not lose his turret. And Sion is A+, S+ even. You're an LS fan of being able to delay. So he's the S-tier top laner for delaying. And then put a shield on Teddy. He hits level 15 or so on 3 items and starts autoing turrets. So very, very strong around there. And always the threat of the shockwave coming through as well. SKT, 4-1 and 1-3-1, both available. Always talk about the 1-3-1 with Ryze and Trundle. If he can actually find a lane assignment where he's not being delayed, can do a lot of work. They have a lot of engage to collapse upon a team trying to siege as well. So if they're decisive, even Bang can be a primary initiator. So they have a lot of initiation. So this game should be fiery when we do actually reach the grouping phase.
Blossom helping out with the leash here. Smiting in anticipation of that E being blown, but nice poise by Umti this time around. Just waiting and not using that. They'll take advantage of that, but...
The fun part about this game is we can talk about where we were, during the January 20th match in terms of the meta, in terms of these two teams, and where we are now. Because it's changed a lot for both SKT and Jin Air. Looking at Jin Air here, the runes are very interesting. on the side of the Orianna. It is domination second, which already surprising. It's gone for the movement speed on the secondary rune as well, and then some extra sustain on the first one. Taste the Blood, I believe it's called. I may forget. We do play on the Korean client, but regardless, domination tree second is definitely abnormal from my experience with the Orianna.
You don't get minion dematerializer, you don't get the stopwatch, right? So definitely passing up on a couple of extra items that are very useful in their own right for just other runes.
You think utility, I guess, always a chance of the precision tree to go for the presence of mind, but domination is definitely a different one. Of course, if it's Ahri or something, electrocute. If it's a primary, you understand it, but secondary domination to me, outside of zombie wards, which it doesn't have, it didn't even go there for zombie wards, is feels like a Justice exclusive decision.
Well, you definitely need some extra movement speed to get away from Ryze, Alistar, Jarvan. So
I feel like
even to dodge Chain of Corruption, right? But
I feel
is
like
it worth it in the end?
I feel like if they want to kill you, they kill you, though, Valdez. They just ult first, and then it doesn't matter how fast you move.
True. Also, in the case of if you're trying to just help Teddy out here, you know, why not just try to stay alive as much as possible and get back into the lane instead of taking the more aggressive summoners? We have a bit of a skirmish down here. Blossom seems to have snuck his way into the brush, and he is level 6. He's got a lot of burst damage. That's going to do it, definitely. First Blood comes in, doesn't even need to use Cataclysm. Not sure if he had the mana, but either way, it's a kill, and that'll be First Blood to Blossom.
And that was, of course, where the history lesson was going to lead you. SKT with Blossom is so aggressive. This is how they usually draft. Initiators everywhere. Not a kite comp, not any other type of comp. They want as many primary initiators, and they play around the aggression coming through of Blossom. Great lane gank, great timing. The heal was never going to get Teddy away. Good First Blood timing for SKT.
That's just a gank you don't see too often as well. Very smart pathing out of Blossom to see the potential for that and to hit level 6 so fast and make his way down there just in time.
And it's so cool that we have, it feels like a few storylines kind of like Blossom's. In summer season, it was Cuz in his rookie season becoming an LCK champion, first in recent memory, being a true Royal Roader and being able to win in his first season. This season, we have Blossom being the savior of SKT. Their game plans did not work with Blank or Wolf in the jungle, and it required a true rookie who had never even been on a practice roster to turn things around. Wolf mid lane.
He's level 6. He's going to be diving on in here, looking for the stuns. Clan's going to be blown, but in the end, still does save his flash. But Clan's a nice little summoner to get off the Orianna.
And then we even have Yukal for KT, who might shape up to be their starter as the season goes on. So this young talent who's only recently been around the competitive ethos, influencing playoff teams. This is not Jin Air blooding new talent and almost getting into playoffs. This is top teams taking away veteran players and actually rolling in the younger players, the true rookies. And that's always super hyped to see.
Yeah. Also that other story of not necessarily a rookie, but Lava coming in to the mid lane of Rox Tigers and being another carry for that lineup when they were sorely missing one, especially with Kuzan coming in. We all thought he was going to be playing, but that is not the case.
I do feel like we're going to be talking about the next generation and talking about names like you just mentioned as this new generation of players in Korea. There have been intermittent generations, but to have 4 players who all have really distinguished themselves in the space of 6 to 9 months is very impressive for top team talent in Korea.
That's really cool. League of Legends still very much an alive game, as we have seen. New talent coming in every single year. Well, we saw that Untaro was actually having a really fun time trading up against Sohan, but of course, it's going to be hard to ever kill the Sion up in that top lane.
And please understand that Jin Air is in full delay mode with this comp. This is the first time in recent memory they have drafted for their very standard playstyle. You think back to what they were playing earlier this week, it was a Lowy top lane and trying to push the tempo with Sohan. This is delay, this is long games, this is Gathering Storm, the team comp. And every time they look aggressive, to me it should be more about how much extra time can we buy to safely farm rather than how many kills we can pick up in the early game.
MT is really trying to make this play work because he knows the pressure is going to be there onto Justice. Here we go, and the stopwatch gets him out of dodge there.
Weren't many frames to pull off that play, but nicely done by Faker, only taking the stopwatch for this. No longer can you disengage with the ultimate with stopwatches. 3-man gank onto OMT.
Yeah, he doesn't have his ultimate anymore. Even the pillar here not going to help him get out.
And the play there was to try to make him force him use flash by trying to body block the Arctic Assault. Not able to do that. So just a show of intent from SKT. Not going to be any advantages gained. Not a lot of oomph behind the shockwaves this early in the game, but the first one hit, so already we have something positive to say, I guess. Can't take that for granted in this recent memory.
We'll see how he does later on when I know people love to spam like Boreana in the chat, but I find her very exciting because 4-man, 5-man shockwaves, especially when you go up against a comp that's trying to just dogpile every single person on top of your carry. It's we could definitely have some fun ones once we get to the later stages.
Speaking of Twitch chat memes, I caught BDD in the makeup room yesterday and explained Zed Obed to him.
Yeah?
Because
How did that go?
He laughed. He understood the meme. I was like, the English fans, like, they really like Zed, and they find it boring when he's not played, so Zed Obed. And he understood and laughed because, of course, he is a legacy Zed player.
Yeah.
But they had fun with that one, so that was good. I tried to get him on the AP Cogmore hype train for 8.4, and that proved more difficult.
I played a game of that. It actually went well. I won.
There you go.
On your
Confirmed overpowered.
On your recommendation, sitting in like what, Plat 3 right now, I was like, hey, let's give it a try. It actually worked.
So any content creators out there, feel free if you get an interview with BDD to talk about Zed Obed.
Yeah.
He understands.
When are we going to see Zed again? When was the last one? Was it Ian, actually, last year?
There was definitely at least one Ian game of Zed in summer season. I think that was over at the Gangnam Stadium as well.
Yeah, here.
We get very few Zed games in the LCK. It's a bit too binary these days.
Yeah.
SKT understanding that Jin Air is like in full white flag mode for the first 30 minutes, walking up, but doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be free objectives.
They've caught Faker, and he doesn't have his stopwatch this time around. The damage coming in, he flashes away. They can't finish him off, even with the stun. He's going in, Teddy. He might have to trade his life for it, though. That's going to be 1-for-1 so far. And now SKT, they're still on the chase. Lots of low members on the side of Jin Air. Now they're going to return to this Dragon.
Teddy thought he took a two-way ticket, but it was no return in that one. Had to use flash and heal. Probably should have kept the flash. It was a pretty big cost in the end. Faker's own flash is down. It will be the Mountain Drake. 1-for-1 with a scaling comp is not the worst result for Jin Air. But Teddy has been a little bit too feisty so far on the Tristana and kind of unnecessary for how the game is playing out. Gonna watch the replay. Remember that Jin Air is looking for a delay. They're looking for 3-item Tristana before they even get out of bed in the morning. They start walking up. Great shockwave. 2 in a row have been on point.
Yeah.
Faker falls low, and predictably, if you get the chance to say X killed Faker in the chat, you want it to read that way. Teddy does, but second time he's locked up by Blossom. His flash was attempting to be a flash into the rocket jump, was optimistic, let's say, at best. I don't think that was worth it. And the Mountain Drake does go the way of SKT.
Yeah, you were talking about the shockwave. Definitely, Fakery could have potentially flashed before the Braum ultimate, but after he was locked down, he was kind of stuck in there. Definitely a team effort that time around from Jin Air.
To be fair, the first two have at least prompted him to go for any defensive choice in his Catalyst item. He's been on Rod of Ages duty recently, but has gone into the Abyssal Masters game for, I just kind of want to ignore the Orianna Shockwave. For now, at least, at low AP values, that will certainly be fine. It's only really about the CC until the death cap and other big items roll in. Faker respectful in his items. It will buff up Varus's damage, but it's not a double AP comp when it comes to the solo lanes. So just trying to be defensive there is Faker. Justice still scaling up. Scaling, scaling, scaling. We start looking, we're definitely going to have a Gathering Storm on both AD carries, probably on Faker as well.
Yeah, I forget. We were so caught up in the domination of Justice that I forgot to check if he actually did take the Gathering Storm. I think it may have been Scourge, but
amateur.
Not 100% there. Sorry about that.
We'll get over it. Top lane, the Bramble Vest has become the new age old counter to the Trundle. Even in its nerfed state, it stops him from just out-sustaining you. It feels like if you don't have a Bramble Vest, you take just an extra 150 damage every wave and it adds up, and then he gets time on a turret. But with the Bramble Vest, it looks like this. Not the most exciting, but So very rarely is going to be taking real damage.
Yeah. And Tara, knowing this, He's just ulting, trying to clear the wave as much as possible and probably go back. He's got his TP up. I mean, it is Trundle. You go to lane and you try to ignore the other champion and hit the turret as much as possible.
And in general, if you're teleporting away from lane, your team probably made a mistake on the rest of the Rift because Trundle never wants to be involved in the true 5v5 till he hits very oppressive levels.
Yeah, he picked up a cull. He's like, well, I'm just going to farm, and that's it.
Bad back timing, though. He'll feel bad about the fact that he is at 8 minions.
Well,
that means he's probably going to try and stick around.
Yeah.
His mana slowly ticking up. Wants to cash in the cull before he goes for the back as Sion leading the damage next to the Varus.
No Arcane Common anymore would have helped out his damage stats. Might see a 3-on-3 down here as preparing for a gank, but Blossom right in position. Gonna decide against it.
Take a breath, and everyone at home should adjust their seating. They should go get some popcorn.
Pillows,
We're going to be here a while. Even SKT in their new aggressive form are going to find a very defensive Jin Air. So contesting objectives is really the only thing they can do this early in the game to pick up the pace. Unless Jin Air want to show more aggression than perhaps they should, and Teddy walking up is a good sign that they're feeling feisty.
It's going to be 4-on-4. Top laner's not going to be moving. You can see that Sion is looking for that TP, but as the skirmish is trying to be begun here, the smite is going to come in. Looks like picks that up. Look at the positioning of Untari. He's like, no, you're not going to TP anywhere. I'm going to be right on top of you, ready with that pillar.
For now, at least, with no teams seriously looking for an engage, not going to actually mean much. The proxy singed effect on the Trundle, who, now that he has Ravenous Hydra, doesn't take damage from minions. Just lifesteal it up with the King's Tribute. And guess what? He doesn't even have to worry about the Bramble Vest debuff if he's not near the Sion. Doesn't mean he's going to get any turret damage. Will mean he finds a red buff, so that's a nice little bonus for Antara.
Yeah, small things like that. You know, you can push the turret a lot faster with the red buff, so definitely a nice little buff to pick up. You deny it from the Sejuani.
Okay, this is a way to increase the pace. Blossom rotates smartly. This is as Orianna's shopping as well, so very nice timing from SKT. Multi-step process to guarantee a turret like this. Finally, they get the ball rolling. It did take 18.5 minutes. I wish it read 13, but regardless, SKT on the board, and now the rotational advantages they can get from Trundle split pushing. Previously, when Trundle was dirty farming or proxying behind the top turret, it doesn't matter. When the rotations start with the AD carry and the support, that's where you actually create a lot of pressure in the enemy jungle when it comes to where the rest of the team from SKT is. There's the chance of a 3-man collapse on the top side, and now the proxying can no longer be tolerated by Jin Air because the laning phase is essentially over.
Yeah, with the pressure that they're putting on, they get that first blood turret, but also the Rift Herald here. You don't see this all too often. Sometimes a dive bottom will lead the enemy jungler into getting the Rift Herald. You kind of trade objectives like that, but not the case, as SKT has total map control for now. As you mentioned, Jin Air kind of just sitting on their hands for quite a while, so they're going to give this one up.
And Soan is definitely role-playing a troll, even if he's against Trundle. He's got his Thornmail ready to go. About as unkillable as can be as they turn onto Wolf, get a flash at least.
They were thinking about going in there. They're like, well, it's probably not worth it.
Getting the flash from an Alistair as the Drake is about to spawn is still something relevant.
Yeah.
A lot more safety to Teddy, whose summoners alongside Justices will be up. Soan's just trying to freeze the wave in the face of the Trundle.
Nope. He really does not care. Yeah, so we do have the second Mountain Drake up. You were talking about Jin Air trying to delay, but if SKT could get 2 Mountain Drakes, that would be huge. Although Jin Air is going to start this up. They're going to leash it into the back.
Sion does pull back, so there will be a bit of turret damage here. We'll see how much decisiveness there is around this play. Untara will want to cancel if he does invest the TP.
Blossom pretty far out at this point. So it looks like Untara just going to get the turret as Soan just gives it up. Question being, can they steal? No is going to be the answer. But they engage out of Justice. Not in the greatest spot. Has to flash away. But now Blossom is getting in there. Good shockwave. He's buying so much time. He's still alive in the back line. And the stuns now are going to be coming out here. Wolf looking for the re-engage rate. Very low. Finally, they trade 1 for 1. But eventually, Wolf going to go down. But this is not ending anytime soon. Faker and Bang, the 2 carries versus 2 very low health members trying to run away here.
And Justice goes the right way. He manages to juke. He gets onto the speed up as well from the Rift Scuttler. He'll get away. Umti also a nice escape, a 2 for 1. But you'll notice in the top side, They did not have any advanced vision of Blossom at all. He hadn't grouped early, so we said, okay, the Drake might go the way of Jin Air. It did, but because he hadn't shown, Sion assumed he was being turret dived in the top side, backed away. It did give a turret overall, and Mountain Drake for top lane turret is a pretty even trade. The 2-for-1 means slight advantage, Jin Air Green Wings, but pretty close. So Sion has to give up his turret because they have no vision of Blossom. Blossom being out of position actually ended up getting them an objective. And then as we watch the fight, Wolf's threat into the backline is less because he does not have the flash. The shockwave is perfect, and the fact that Justice lived here with some excellent Orianna mechanics. So far, a pass mark for the Orianna after some struggles recently. The fight continues. Teddy this time does push the limit and get the kill, but he kept his summoners up. No flash forward. Get the kill on Alistar. A 2-for-1 and a Drake. This game stays relatively even.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Orianna mechanics because he was on point, the last-second shield as well as the heal from Teddy. But now we're going to have SKT trying to push this in as fast as humanly possible. They're going to get that mid lane tier 1.
And they get the gold rolling as well. They find themselves in a 5,000 gold lead out of seemingly nothing with how the game has gone recently. And they're trying to get a second turret.
Orianna's in the top lane. They're going to engage. Goodbye, Wraith. You're just going to get off this rift at this moment. That's going to be the second turret going down, too. And they're looking for more here. Justice in an awkward spot. They're going to jump onto him. He doesn't have his flash anymore. SKT are running the train down middle, and they're getting kill after kill.
Jin Air's delay falls apart in one passage of play. Reminds me of a very old game, the OMG versus SKT game, where the mid lane was rushed down, and SKT got the maximum. Even Justice, you know, many less competitive games, makes a very bad rotation, goes far too straight line trying to get back to base, need to go all the way around, felt pressured, he should feel pressured, and out of nowhere, an inhibitor falls at pre-23 minutes.
Looks so good for SKT, a team that not many people had confidence in. Who knows if they had confidence in themselves, but now, just like that, it's the old SKT right back here. You give them an inch, and they'll take it a mile, right down your mid lane. At 23 minutes, your inhibitor is gone.
And the fun thing about my illusion is that was 2013. What have we said about SKT with Blossom? It reminds us of the aggression we haven't seen since 2013 SKT, impact in the top lane. And all the rest of the lineup, Bengi Faker, Piglet, and Pumandu. The aggression is back with Blossom, and it's just a really smart passage of play. The first turret, indefensible. The second turret, they make a smart read. They know summoners are down, and Orianna is side laning, one of the worst side lane champions because she has no ability to actually close the distance. Great read coming through. That was not an award, but they had earlier vision. They made the read that he'd be in there. Smart moves by SKT, and it punishes to the maximum.
Such quick decision-making, and Jin Air, they've got to be feeling pretty bad about this one as they're now 8,000 gold behind.
Everything up to 18 minutes was great by Jin Air, and then one series of mistakes may have just lost them the game. The gold lead is opened up. Jin Air's hopes to scale to 40 before the game got interactive have been dashed, and one more aggressive pick onto especially Umti. The Baron goes down and maybe the game ends because they broke the base without a Baron. That might be the first time this season we've seen the base be broken before any Barons have been claimed on the Rift.
It'd be cool to know that stat. Unfortunately, we don't have a stats team over here in Korea.
We don't have a stats team. We also don't have an observer PC, if you're wondering why we can't check the runes. We are flying blind. You guys see it. We see it maybe half a second earlier. It's all we got. So making our best with a pirate broadcast.
So they're trying to create something here. 4-man actually down here. They're going for the Realm Warp underneath the turret. It's going to be a 4-man shockwave, but it doesn't matter. That's 4 people going to take out the Orianna. She still doesn't have her flash. Now they're trying to disengage here. Teddy has so much room with the red buff. Did they take this too far is the question. Teddy thinking about continuing on the chase here. But it looks like SKT slowly going to back away and get away.
And look, it's certainly been something they've been guilty of, taking it too far. They're super aggressive and decisive. This one was started by Faker. In the end, they're basically saying, every time we see Justice and Noah's flash is down, dogpile, what is the Orianna going to do? She doesn't have any oomph behind the shockwaves. The Void Staff to try to be relevant at this point, but no death cap or further AP items means they can ignore the damage. We saw Faker and said, okay, Abyssal Marks, Merc Treads, he's going to want to stand in the shockwave. He has, and it hasn't mattered.
I love Blossom's play. He flag and drags over the wall into 3 people, and he just kind of dances in front of them and says, hey, come on and attack me. See what you can do. Of course, they're not going to. Untara, by the way, doing his job, takes another turret, some nice team gold, and the push is definitely strong for our Trundle player.
Game plan is certainly into high gear. What a passage of play around the mid lane to just open up the game. SKT want to pick up the Baron. That should be the sealer. I feel like if Baron comes in, even if they don't end the game from that play, the amount of pressure they'll have on the map will even higher than now, where they have the mid lane inhibitor and they're feeling confident to face check most brush. So Baron buff does seem to represent a game 1 victory for SKT, keeping the game timer as short as possible. If you guys are wondering, the entire game time of SKT versus Jin Air in the first round was 193 minutes, 3 hours and 13 minutes, 20 seconds of gameplay. You're not even complaining about an Allen's desk or a break. That was just the gameplay, longer than any Marvel film. Longest Marvel film so far was Civil War. That was an extra 47 minutes on that. So we saw an epic amount of game time. And that's what Jin Air wanted to recreate with this comp, and SKT with Blossom, such a different prospect, so much more aggressive. That aggression has caught Jin Air flat-footed.
Civil War, the only real Marvel film that I've actually seen in recent time. I'm not a big fan of the superhero movies, but
could you please keep that away from this broadcast?
Was a good one. I know you guys are all fans, but
look,
not me.
Look, I watched them.
Yeah.
Fans is a strong word.
Okay.
I read a lot of comics when I was a kid.
Okay. All right.
But
It
they're
makes
fun.
sense if you know the lore behind the characters, I assume. Well, Blossom really doesn't care. He walks up to the enemy team, clears a buff, and now they're going to jump onto the Umti here. They want to take that smite away. Still, the stopwatch left available. That's going to be the 3-man Cataclysm. Getting pretty low, though, is Blossom, and still no kill.
Shockwave's
still
still
no
up as
results.
well.
They're trying to get somebody here. They're running after Wraith, who does have his Unbreakable up here. Finally, he's going to go down, and they're going deep into the base here, trying to get on top of Umti. There's the Shockwave. It's not that much damage. Teddy in the back line. They finally get Umti there, but Teddy's looking for Bang. Bang getting way too low here. That's going to be 1. Now it's all up to Faker. Faker versus everybody. He's got the support of Untara here. Is it going to be enough? Teddy taking it slow, not willing to go too far in, as SKT finally decide to back away.
And remember, this game plan from SKT is the right game plan for how early in the game it is. Late game, when it's 4-item Tristana, 4-item Orianna, you can't ignore the damage. But you saw that free hitting 3-item Tristana, one of the most fearsome things to face in both competitive play in other regions and in the solo queue especially, isn't really doing relevant damage to the front line of SKT. So the damage is still not there. Finally, a needlessly large rod, finally on the way for damage from Orianna. But this is why we have not liked Orianna in the LCK so far in 2018. There's gap closer plenty, and when the gap closes, the Shockwaves have not vindicated the limited nature of Ori. So we watch the replay. Very extended fight. Justice has Shockwave, but doesn't really have a great place to use it. Faker and Bang are respecting it at every moment.
Really smart.
The moment that he actually used the command attack topside was the one time that actually stepped on the ball, but it didn't matter. It was 1 kill to Jin Air at this point in the game. Wraith inevitably dies, and SKT, again, when they have Blossom, these are the decisions they make as a team. They go in the back line, ends up being pretty even. Jin Air not going to feel too bad about this. The inhibitor has not been crashed either in this passage of play. But in live, in the picture-in-picture, we can see that Jin Air setting up around the inevitable second Baron attempt by SKT.
Yep, here we go once again. 4 members of Jin Air just grouping up, trying to get as much vision as possible. Untara doing his job, pushing down on the bottom lane. We return to the scene of the crime once again. That Mountain Drake, and now that we're here at 30 minutes, definitely means that with the Rise and the Varus, they can take down that Baron quite fast here.
I love the itemization from SKT because it's always great when you theorize how a game is going to play out from early decisions or from team comps, and then it does, because if you notice, everyone has overloaded on Magic Resist on the side of SKT. And you look at Jin Air and say, oh, but they actually have Tristana, and she's going to be doing most of the damage. It's just so they can pile into the Shockwave, not care, and get the kill. So they are building exclusively to ignore the impact of the Shockwave and to keep fighting and just try to kill Teddy or the front line and ignore the Orianna. And so far, we are waiting for Orianna to scale and scale and scale, and she feels like she's 15 minutes away from actually being a true threat to SKT.
She's not there yet. She only has 2 items, and one of them being the Void Staff. So she actually noticed that the Magic Resist was being stacked. We're going to have a start here on the Baron. They don't expect it because Blossom is not in there just yet. It's a 3-man Baron, and look at how fast it goes down. Smite comes in. They don't even need it or use it. Very smartly played by SKT.
I mean, their Barons have been always one of their trademarks, but this time, very well engineered, like you say. Should have been suspicious, but it ended up being just Jin Air playing on the back foot. I think when you draft comps like this, you're priced into always saying, okay, this is actually fitting our game plan. We'd love to just mill around our jungle and not give up anything. And SKT are the team on the other side, on the front foot, taking the objectives. The second Baron, they picked up the first inhibitor with no Baron. See what this Baron represents for SKT.
There's a single ward in this jungle right now that's making Jin Air play very passively. They know that they can't really afford to take any fights that are off their turf, so they're just going to defend this mid inhibitor for now. SKT playing it respectfully. They want to put on the slow push, allow the Rise up in the top lane to do his thing with the pushing, and then eventually go in towards mid.
And exactly, they're going to get an objective with no combat for SKT, so they're feeling good about being able to push into 3 inhibitor turrets or just the inhibitor in mid lane. Finally now, with 3 lanes pushing, they push into mid. Teddy starting to pile on the damage, so the decisions get less clear for SKT. If they pull the wrong trigger right now, things can turn around.
Oh boy, look at him. He's just walking up to them. What is he doing? He's going to almost go down here. Untara is going to bite him in the butt, and that's going to be the end of his life. And just one mistake like that means that all that pressure they were keeping off of them on their base is now out the window. It's 5v4. SKT are pushing in.
And the game could just end from here. Giving up a member to smite steal a Baron is bad enough. Giving up a member as you're defending the Baron, the death timer is long enough at 32 minutes to mean that 3 inhibitors will go down for the side of Jin Air Green Wings. Just a brain fade from Umti. Overrated his tankiness or overrated the aggressive instinct of his team.
Yeah, not sure what he was thinking.
Double demolish, Brock. Deletes the turret.
Yeah, that's going to be the end of that turret and the end of that 3rd inhibitor. SKT thinking about a re-engage, but MT is going to respawn here. So they say, hey, let's get both the buffs. We got essentially the entire base. We can go back, buy up, and then continue to push in.
They just get a mountain to do even more damage to turrets. You're fine with that. When it comes to Drakes at this point in the game, and now I feel like the gold lead will just overwhelm the side of Jin Air Green Wings. The defense that was possible with Azir Sivir is now Orianna Tristana, which, you know, is a facsimile. It's not that much worse than Azir and the Sivir, but with the gold values, it's so unlikely to lead to an extended delay. You need all of the items stacking in. They are not yet. And Teddy's 4 items may count for nothing.
See the Varus picking up the Void Staff once again, just to help out with that magic damage he does. And he just picked that up right away. That's how much gold he had. He goes back, picks up that 1 item, and returns to the fight. So you can imagine how much all the rest of the players on SKT had. Death cap now completed for Faker, our resident Rise player.
And Justice still trucking along, trying to get his. Been sitting on 2 items for so long. May end the game with just 2 completed items. I feel like Orianna's been outclassed again and again, the LCK, and feels no different in this game.
Definitely seems that way. So we continue pushing in. 3 seconds left on the Baron as they're looking to end it here. They have tons of super minions. They don't necessarily need that last Drake. Let's see what Jin Air decides to do in their last stand. They have to go for a fight here. Looking for Bang. They get the knock up here. Now Blossom in the front, but he's got the Gargoyle Stone. Played the 4-man knock up from Wolf. He's looking to end this game now. Faker on the right side trying to go 1v2. He stays alive. Varus picking up all the kills in the end. Finally, Faker goes down. Isn't going to matter, though. They are staying alive in the back here. Both the carries have gone down for SKT. But so
Watch
many
the minions as well.
They're going in, and Teddy, he's not cleaning the minions. He's trying to get the kills. Untara wants to get the Nexus here. He's quite tanky.
I don't think he can do it.
Do it. It's going to be a couple more hits. but it's not going to be enough himself. He finally goes down, and they keep the Nexus alive for now.
How does it keep happening? How does this happen? Teddy has to tank up the cannon minions, the siege minions. It's falling very, very low. No lifesteal in the build. This is an ordeal to defend. SKT, they go for the fight. They think they can fight, get the KDA, and end the game. It's going to be basically an iPhone game level of turret defense here. You definitely messed up in the early game if this is what is happening on your iPhone. But so far, Teddy able to steady the ship.
Somehow, some way, just getting a little bit too far forward there, especially Faker going by himself, trying to 1v2. Nearly worked out. He almost survived, but Teddy, he's pretty good at the game. So they're going to keep their base alive somehow, some way. They're standing on not even one leg at this point. It's like one toe for Jin Air as they just try to keep their base intact.
Now let's see if it truly summons the spirit of the previous Jin Air versus SKT match. Because you'll watch this replay and say, wait, I remember stuff like this at the end. Remember that was the first series I've ever remembered as, let me point out the headbutt pulverize that you said, was definitely the big ticket moment of that fight. Remember that all 3 games Teddy ended with no boots. All 3 games he actually had 6 damage items. It's the first time in competitive play I have ever seen that happen. So the ultra late game is not being received here. SKT focused on the fight. They were not able to close the distance on Teddy. And at 4 items, now 5, he certainly packs a punch in his build. SKT, though, all they can really do is return to the scene of the crime and get over the demons that represent killing the Jin Air Green Wings Nexus.
They want to do it. They're going to realm warp in. They're just going to attack the Nexus. Can they do it, though? The 5-man shockwave. They're trying to keep it alive, but Untara's going to get it in the back. 37 minutes. They get the win that they were looking for. Congratulations, SKT. They did not want this to go to 94 minutes for sure.
What a hype ending, and a lot of SKT fans will hope that you could just stitch in what happened in this game to the previous time they couldn't end the game and make it into a 95-minute victory. That didn't have to happen here. We did not go that far. Heroic defense by Jin Air Green Wings, but not enough. SKT made the read that this time they could end the game. No Azir turrets, no problem. They close it out, and SK Telecom T1, just like in that first series, win game 1.
They actually did it. I was getting scared after that Nexus didn't die the first time. Justice trying to prove that his Orianna was worth something with a fantastic shockwave to delay it until the second chance. But either way, that is going to be game 1. I feel like I saw a small little smirk there on Teddy's face, kind of enjoying the way that game ended.
I just love how SKT versus Jin Air games have delivered in the biggest way in 2018. The longest, the best, the worst, the most. It has been an ordeal. The 4th game, no different in this epic streak of matches. Jin Air's plan of delay was stuffed at 20 minutes when SKT got the maximum through mid lane. Let's watch the replay here and notice how much Faker is able to bring up. They don't want to take the 5v5. They go into the back line. They can't bring minions with them, but they're happy with 5. Jin Air definitely get the read, but the Nexus already below half health. No ability to ult Untara into the fountain. Already had used the buster shot, did Teddy. Nice close by SKT.
Yep, very alpha move, going in as 5, Realm Warp right on top of your Nexus. Do not care at all about your team, and they finally do get that win, so congratulations to SKT, but they got to win 1 more. The series is not over just yet, and no doubt we'll have some more craziness here in the future of this series. So guys, we're going to hop to a break here in between the games eventually. Looks like maybe it's not happening right now.
I wonder if we're going to see the return of Grace in game 2. Going to feel hard done by that he wasn't fielded in game 1. Understandably a lot to talk about, a hype match, but I'm ready for game 2.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys in about 10 minutes before game number 2.
챔피언스 코리아 스프링 LCK 2018년 새해 올해 첫 번째 경기와 함께 준비되고 있습니다.
대화 탈주하지 말고. 오랜만에. 오케이, 알겠습니다. 잘주. 첫판다 이기고 잘주지? 네. 이기고 위타치 해버렸어요.
배치 파괴가 배치 파괴가? 배치 파괴가? 배치 파괴가
1패를 내가.
아 그래요? 저도 알겠습니다. 네? 저 4등인데. 형은요? 저희 6이요.
신경을 쓸 수밖에 없는 거잖아요.
한번. 네, 포션도 없어.
나 섭받을 거.
내가 여기 있어.
바텀도 살짝 봐줄래?
이렇게.
잡았어.
내 다리 간다. 내 다리 간다.
니다리 노플 나이스.
와, 크라운 소름 돋네요, 진짜. 포기하면서 올라왔는데 크라운이 이걸 견뎌냈습니다. 네. 자, 미니 지역인데요. 다시 한번 앰비션에 들어가겠습니다. 포탑을 크라운.
자야 먹고 갔다. 자야. 잡았어.
앰비션 조식의 대격변 대박. 그리고 환상적인 어그로 빅포.
초반에 우리가 바텀에서 죽은 거 죄송. 그것 때문에 좀 길어진 것 같아요. 죄송. 맞아.
끝납니다. 아니 앰비션 대체 언제 얼마까지 잘해주는 건지 가늠이 안 돼요. 네, 성장이면 성장 그리고 완벽한 상황 판단 이런 것들이 지난해 최고의 전성기를 보낸 선수의 클래스입니다. 2018 리그를 보내준 챔피언스 코리아 스플릿 이제 개막전의 첫 번째 경기 끝이 났습니다. 이번 스플릿의 최상위권들의 그 경기를 봤다면 이제는 거기에 도전하는 팀들의 경기를 만나볼 수 있습니다. 바로 콩드몬스터와 MVP 경기를 기다리고 있습니다.
가자.
야, 뿌려지 말고. 뿌려면 안 돼.
네. 가자. 시작하겠습니다.
한다? 아니 그래도 써 빨리.
오케이.
할게. 우리는 하나다 공룡스터. 화이팅! 오케이.
정화 없는 걸 잡기 위해 올라왔는데요.
누나 맞출 수 있어?
정화 없어.
아직 애매. 그냥 라인에 있고.
내가 지금 볼게.
맞았거든?
보자. 나이스.
나이스.
나이스. 흥분하지 마.
콩드몬스터 먼저 연계 동작을 통해서 미드즈에서 킬을 만들어냈습니다. 차르반과 조이의 선택. 들어갈 때마다 뭔가 하고 바로 뺐다는 거거든요. 그렇죠.
기다려 돌자.
니다리.
오케이.
여기 산나 혼자 산다 이거.
라이즈 안 보여. 라이즈 안 보여.
미드 막아.
막아놓고 야 막아도 도망가는 루트가 대박이긴 한데 그런데 벌써 5대0을 만들었습니다. 빠져나가는 과정에서 두 명을 끌어서 비욘드와 맥스. 자 여기서 미련을 좀 느끼면서 다시 한번 흐름을 갔습니다만 도리어 미드 지역이 힘을 실어주고 MVP가 됐습니다.
앞으로 가볼래? 궁 6초.
오케이.
라이즈 궁 없으니까 라이즈부터 가봐. 라이즈 봐봐. 라이즈 봐봐.
라이즈
보는 중.
라이즈. 미드로 가보자.
어찌 못했던 킬을 한 번에 3개를 쓸어담았습니다. 코도 이거 끝내나요 그냥? 이거 이 타이밍에 위쪽으로 올라 한 개 아니라 두 개 아니라 3개를 쓸어담았다. 타이밍 받았다. 코도
트위치만 조심해. 안 하면 안 이겨.
트위치 궁도 없어 그리고.
트위치
하나도 궁 없어.
트위치 태어날 때 내가 궁 써줄게.
끝이야. 점수하면 끝이야.
좋아.
타워 치게 그냥.
타올게.
타워 치게 그냥.
엑소 쳐봐. 트위치 몰라. 트위치 안 보여. 트위치 오픈.
트위치 궁 없다니까.
궁 없어.
아니요.
좋습니다. 선수가 파괴되면서 경기가 아이템이 어중간할 때 무한의 대검이 딱 안 나왔을 때 그 타이밍을 기가 막히게 캐치했어요. 위태로움은 있었습니다만 그걸 극복할 수 있을 만한 힘이 지난 스토브 시즌 동안 만들어져 있었습니다.